Pugs, Moran. We do this every Monday through Friday at noon until, I don't know, till the news runs out. That's right, until the news runs out. Here's what we do on this show. Every day we get together here around about high noon. That's why the show's called High Noon, noon, 12. Mid-noon, I don't know, whatever you call it. We get around, we gather up, and then we just talk about all the things that are happening in the world. We talk about the trending topics, hot topics, current events, pop culture, newsmakers, whatever it is. If it's a headline, if it's a hot topic, if it's a trend, we're going to cover it for you right here at noon every day. The purpose of this show is, trying to create a form of talk radio that we don't hear anymore. Talk radio is all, politics or sports, one or the other, and that's it. You're either on one side of the political spectrum or you're basically closed out. So I don't want to do that kind of stuff in the form of talk radio. So I've done this. It's current events driven. We're just giving hot takes about stupid shit that happens every single day in the world, right? Stupid little stories. If it's trending, I'll tell you why it's trending, why people might be talking about it. I give you a hot take. We move on to the next. Now we do this in segments for the High Noon Show. This is becoming a problem. This headphone, I don't know, for some reason. All right. We do this in a couple of segments. We begin with the history of the day. We run through all the things that have shaped this particular day throughout history. Then we move on to birthdays. We talk about people who were born unto this days and the contributions that they've made or the notoriety that they've acquired. For whatever reason, we talk about their birthdays, people who were born unto this plane of existence on this day. Then we mourn some of the passings. That comes next. People who died and made contributions, we talk about them. So after we've gone through the history, the births, and the deaths of the day, once we have a solid foundation, at least to help us understand what the rest of the day could bring for us, then we move into the topics of the day. So without further ado, I said it again. I told you weeks ago that I wasn't going to say that was verbal acne. Verbal acne are just words that show up and that you just use without further ado. I don't want to say that anymore. I don't like that. I don't even know what a do is. Let's get started. Here we go. It is high noon for the 10th day of January, year of our Lord 2023. I'll have you know that January 10th is, class, how many days into the year are we? 10. 10 is correct. It is the 10th day of the year. That means there are 355 days remaining until the end of the year. So as they say, get those New Year's Eve plans started. Let's go way back into the history time machine. On this day in 49 BC, Julius Caesar crosses the Rubicon, signaling the start of the Roman Civil War. So this gets a mention because we hear that all the time. It's like, yeah, that's it. You've crossed the Rubicon. He's crossed the Rubicon. What is the Rubicon? What does that metaphor mean? What does that mean when people use it? It means the point of no return. It means that you have gone so far in whatever it is that you're doing that you have crossed a point where you're not going to go back. You're just going to finish it. And that's what crossing the Rubicon. The Rubicon was a river in Italy. I don't even know if it's still a river. Do things not be rivers anymore? I don't know. It's like 49 BC. I don't know. Maybe it's a shopping mall. Maybe it's a nice palazzo now. I don't know. But the Rubicon was a river in Italy, and during the Roman Civil War, it was Caesar advancing his troops across the shallow waters of the Rubicon. That signaled everybody that he's serious. Here he comes. On this day in 1861, during the American Civil War, Florida becomes the third state to secede from the Union. And as I said to Mississippi yesterday, don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you. I like that one. That's folksy. I like that. On this day in 1870, John D. Rockefeller incorporated Standard Oil. I mention it because, what is Standard Oil? Is Standard Oil Amoco now or some? I don't even know. The Rockefellers, they got money everywhere. I know this story from The Men Who Built America. Did you ever see that on the History Channel? The Men Who Built, they did a whole thing on John Rockefeller. So now I know who he is. And he was born, or actually it was on this day that he started his company, Standard Oil. That was like the Microsoft of the time. That was like Microsoft, Apple, whatever. Amazon, I don't know. What is the biggest company in the world? Walmart? Whatever. Standard Oil was the biggest company in the world, like from the get-go. It was, man, think about that too. I mean, that's just timing. I don't know that John D. Rockefeller is any better than the rest of us. He just found a bunch of like gooified dinosaurs at a time when gooified dinosaurs suddenly became something that people wanted. Just timing. Standard Oil. Look at this. And he's a Rockefeller. On this day in 1901, the first great Texas oil gusher is discovered at Spindletop in Beaumont, Texas. Oh, whoa. Texas crude, right? Oh, no, Texas tea, right? What do they call it? Texas tea. Anyway, there you go. We very, very big, very, very big. Texas became very big in the oil game, and it all started on this day in 1901. On this day in 1920, the Treaty of Versailles takes effect, officially ending World War I for all combatant nations except the United States. What does that mean? Well, the Treaty of Versailles, look, I know that the Treaty of Versailles is like the thing that just crushed the Germans. Well, you lost the war. You lost the war, and guess what? The losers don't get the good seats. The losers have to sit in the back, and that's what happened to Germany after World War I, and that fomented all kinds of problems. And we saw what that World War II had to be a World War II because the German people are obstinate. That's right, I said it. I called the entirety of the Germanic peoples obstinate. World War I wasn't enough. They needed to get their ass kicked a second time. Never mind. I got some World War II hot takes these days because I've been watching a bunch of World War II documentaries. And not so much in the last week, but within like the last month, I've watched a whole bunch of stuff. So I got World War II hot takes. Maybe we could all get together for a cup of coffee and a nice conversation about World War II. We'll do it on a couple of different dates. The first one, it'll be the war in the Pacific. And then the second get together, we'll talk about the war in Europe. But the war in the Pacific seems to be the one that I'm most fascinated by. On this day in Treaty of Versailles. On this day in 1990, Time Warner is formed by a merger of Time Magazine, Time Inc., and Warner Communications. Warner Brothers and Time Magazine, they were two individual things. They were both big. They were both powerful. And then I remember in 1990, they got together and said, let's get married. And they got married. And now Time Warner is Time Warner. It's big. It's been big for 30 years. But there was a time, I remember, I'm old enough to remember when they were two separate things. All right. In 2019, a 13-year-old American girl, Jamie Kloss, is found alive in Gordon, Wisconsin, having been kidnapped 88 days earlier from her parents' home. So this is this is a heavy story. This was a heavy story from 2019, 3 years ago. I was living in the Chicago area at the time, so it was a real big story up there because this happened in Wisconsin. It happened right there. It's everybody in the Chicago area goes to Wisconsin, so this could happen to any of us. This girl's family was murdered, man. This little 13-year-old girl. Some dude came in, murdered her family, and then took her, and then just like moved her like a couple of towns away. And oh God bless her, that poor kid. But they found her alive, thankfully. I mean, that's great. They found her 88 days later, 88 days in captivity. But her family was still slaughtered. So, oh, God bless her. All right, let's move on to some more celebratory things. Like, how about some birthdays? How about some people who showed up on this planet and then made some contributions? On this day, in the year of our Lord, 1904, Ray Bolger was born. Ray Bolger. You know who Ray Bolger is? The Scarecrow? Scarecrow from Wizard of Oz. That's it. I don't know anything else he did. He was the Scarecrow from Wizard of Oz. I wonder if he got Bob Denvered. We talked about Bob Denver, Gilligan from Gilligan's Island, about how he got Gilligan, where he couldn't get any acting roles that weren't Gilligan. The Scarecrow find it tough finding work because he's the Scarecrow, because everybody's like, that's a Scarecrow. I don't know. Born on this day in 1943. Here's a guy we're going to take a little bit of mum down. We're gonna investigate what this dude was all about, because this guy, I've seen a couple of documentaries. I've seen some biographies on this guy. He's a singer-songwriter who died way before his time. Hold on, let me give you this. Let me pull it up here just so we know who we're dealing with, right? All right, so Jim Croce. Jim Croce was born on this day in 1943. Jim Croce died in 1973 in a plane crash. But man, I got to tell you, when you look, timing is weird. Timing is everything, and timing is very weird and unpredictable. This guy, Jim Croce, in the span of like 3 years, cranked out like 30 years worth of pop music material. And then he died just like that. Just like that. Was he even 30 years old? I don't know. Plane crash, going to a gig. Unbelievable. So this guy, you have to remember, in the course of just like a couple of years, this guy who died, and again, he died in 1973. I always say these unfulfilled promises, right, of artistic glory. These people who died so young, who were so prolific and so good at what they did at such a young age, and then it's just over. It's snuffed out. And you're like, whoa. And then you go back and you look at what they did in that short period of time, and you're like, holy shit. If they had lived another 30 years, what could they have accomplished? So I always like to say, this person could have been, this person very easily could have been as big as a Bob Dylan. This person could have been as big as a Bruce Springsteen. This person, as far as singer-songwriters go, could have gone on to be one of the greatest singer-songwriters of all time. Jim Croce died just out of nowhere in a plane. Here, I'll give you a couple of his songs. So you got to remember this. This was just over the course of like a couple of years that he cranked all of this stuff out. All right, his first number one hit. But just number one hit. If you were driving around in America in the mid to early 1970s listening to pop radio, you heard Jim Croce everywhere. And he'd been dead for a couple of years. It's like, good Lord. All right, so you get this one, Bad Leroy Brown. You get this one. He did the pretty music, right? He did the pretty music. Maybe it's not your thing, but geez, did this guy have success. All right, Time in a Bottle, Bad Leroy Brown. Come on, this one. Wasn't this a phone commercial like 25 years ago? Operator. Oh, come on now. Oh, come on. This guy. Sad guy. See, the number on the matchbook is old and faded. He tried to call somebody from a phone booth, probably in some funky bar. Living in LA. Drunk. My best old ex-friend Ray. His best old ex-friend Ray ran off with it. This guy could write a song, man. All right, so what else did he do? You get this one. Here's another one. This was a big hit. I tried to tell you, the words just came out wrong. Like 3 years. Hit. Plane crash all over. Whoa! And then you just totally forget about it. All right, get another one. We'll do one more. So I guess this was a hit too. This one. This 70s hippie singer-songwriter stuff. I've got a name. This dude was huge. I've got a name. All right, there you go. Jim Croce, born on this day in 1943. Also born on this day in 1944. Frank Sinatra Jr. Frank Sinatra Jr. He's the opposite of Jim Croce. Frank Sinatra Jr., he had a name, just like Jim Croce. That's pretty much all Frank Sinatra Jr. had. He had a name. He had an entire career because he was a junior and because his dad was the most powerful guy in the world. And, not the world, but you know what I'm saying? Frank Sinatra Jr., born on this day in 1944, dead 2016. Didn't realize he died. Now I'm looking at it. All right, Frank, you had more than a name. You were a guy, I guess. Born on this day in 1945, Rod Stewart, British singer-songwriter. A lot of singer-songwriters born on this day. Not Frank Sinatra Jr. You're not a singer-songwriter, dude. You're just a famous kid. That's all. Rod Stewart, born on this day. Rod Stewart. We could do a Rod Stewart draft. I don't want to do a Rod Stewart draft. What would be my favorite Rod Stewart song? My favorite Rod Stewart song. I don't know. I'm trying to think. I don't know. Yeah, I like that song, Baby Jane. You know that song? Baby Jane, don't leave me hanging on the line. That's a good song. That's an under-the-radar Rod Stewart song. I don't know. What do I, wake up, Maggie, I think I got something. That's going. That's going. All right, Rod Stewart, born on this day in 1945. I think we gave him enough time. We considered him. Donald Fagen, born on this day in 1948. Love me some Donald Fagen. Love me Steely Dan. Steely Dan. That's all. Moving on. Born on this day in 1949, George Foreman. George Foreman was born on this day. That's right, George Foreman. Remember he was boxing? He was like 60. How old is he now? 1949, so he's 70, 72, 73, something like that. I don't know. Simple math sometimes confuses me. He's in his early 70s. He did he make off? Look, we all go wrong. You know how much money he made off Foreman grills? Like how much? Did he get like a dime for every Foreman grill? So, because these guys, he didn't make those in his garage. You know what I mean? He entered a licensing agreement with somebody. So, but very good, very good boxer. Heavyweight champion of the world, I think. Was he heavyweight champion of the world when he was young and when he was old? He might have been. He might have been one of those guys. I don't know. George Foreman, happy birthday to you. Born on this day in 1949. Still alive. Born on this day in 1949, umbilical cousins with George Foreman, Linda Lovelace. Linda Lovelace, American porn actress. That's what she's known for. That's what she died. She died in 2002. Linda Lovelace was the star of the historic porn film Deep Throat, which she claimed years later that she was forced into doing, and porn is bad, and she became an activist, and God love her, you did your thing, whatever. She's gone now. Happy birthday, Linda Lovelace. Born on this day in 1953, Pat Benatar. You kidding me? Look at what we got here. We got Jim Croce, Rod Stewart, Donald Fagen, and Pat Benatar. What? All having birthdays on the same day. I like Pat Benatar. I'm a big Pat Benatar fan. Pat Benatar recently saw her get inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame just a couple of weeks ago. She's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame now. Happy birthday, Pat Benatar. What's my favorite Pat Benatar song? What's Shadows of the Night. We're running with the shadows of the night. That's a good one. I also like, you better run, you better hide. Look, Pat Benatar, you put a Pat, if I'm driving down the road and the radio station throws a Pat Benatar song on, I'm listening to it. There's a really good chance I'm listening to it all the way through. Born on this day in 1953. Oh, look at that. Umbilical cousins with the great Pat Benatar. Bobby Rahal, Indy 500 winner, race car driver. Bobby Rahal, born on this day in 1956. Sean Colvin, American singer-songwriter, Austinite, part of the Texas Sound. Sean Colvin. I have a great Sean Colvin story. One of my all-time favorite being a fly on the wall moments occurred with Sean Colvin. Sean Colvin was a regular on a show that I was on in Chicago. She used to play in Chicago all the time. She wasn't Sean Colvin yet. She was just like an under-the-radar indie person who had a major label deal and played nice places, but she didn't, people didn't know who Sean Colvin was unless you were really a music person. You're like, oh, she's good, right? So Sean Colvin come on, she did probably a string of shows with us over the course of a few years. And then she had this new album coming out, and she wanted, the record company was like, hey, you guys always have Sean on. Why don't you have her on? She's got this new album coming out. It's going to be really big. We're really happy about it. And it was the Sonny Came Home song. Sonny Came Home. I don't even know. How does that song go? What does that song go? It was song. It literally, well, hold on. I'll tell you the story. It's this one. So it was basically it was the announcement of her album that would make her. Here you go. This one. So it was this, this song. This song was like massive, like 23, 24 years ago. It was everywhere, and it put Sean Colvin on the map. It was that had some Lilith Fair vibes, that whole thing. All right, so she's set to come in the studio and do an interview, and she shows up. She's a little bit late. She seems a little bit harried, but she's been a regular on the show before, so I'm fairly comfortable with her. Come on, Sean, we'll get you in the green room. We run her back. What can we get you? Coffee, blah, blah, blah. We're going to talk about the new album. Oh, do you have the new album? She says to me. And I go, well, I know we've got the first single. She goes, Sonny Came Home. And I'm like, yeah, we got the first single. And she goes, oh, I haven't heard it yet. And he's like, oh, well, neither have we. So maybe we'll do that on the air. We'll let you hear it for the first time. Do you mind that we mention that you have not heard the song yet? She goes, no. So, okay, very good. So that's the plan. So we're going to have Sean Colvin in. She's going to listen with us to the final mix of Sunny Came Home, which is her new single on the album that is, she's hoping will be the one that gets pushed. So we start to listen to the song in the studio. My host is listening, she's listening, and I'm in the producer booth watching. And I notice as the song goes on, Sean ain't taking it well. Sean is sitting there going like this. Here, this is what I observed. I'm her listening to her song for the first time.
Sunny came home to her favorite room. Sunny sat down in the kitchen. She opened a book and a box of tools.
Now she's looking around for her people in the other room.
With a mission. She says days go by and hypnotized.
At this point, Sean Colvin, at this point in the song where it hits this chorus, she takes her headphones off. She's saying something because we're off mic, so the mics are off. So I see her from the other room. She takes her headphones off. She says something to my host, Kevin Matthews, and she quickly storms out. And the door flies open, and now I'm in the producer booth, and she looks in the producer booth, and she goes, "Where's?" And then she said the name of somebody that was with her. And I go, they're in the green room. And she tore ass down. By the way, the song's still playing throughout the station. It's playing on all the hallways, so she can't escape it. She goes into the green room. I'm following behind, right? She goes into the green room, and she lights into her people. And this is the quote that I will never forget Sean Colvin say to her people upon hearing this song for the first time. What the fuck are you people doing to me? I don't want to be fucking Sheryl Crow. I don't want to be fucking Sheryl Crow, is what Sean Colvin said when she heard this song. She was mad. So the song plays, she comes back in, and obviously there's a situation brewing, and we're radio people, so we're like, what's going on? What's going on here? And she's like, oh, she's back in the studio now, we're live on the air. And she's like, it's just you write a song, and then they take the song, and then, you record it, and then 6 months go by, and they tell you everything's great, and you're given all of these insurances, and then you hear it, and, and my host is like, you don't like that song? That song sounds great. And we're all listening to it. We're like, the hell's wrong with this song? There's nothing wrong with this song. So we don't get it. And she is livid. She said, oh, it's just angry. She got her stuff together, finished the interview. It was weird and awkward for the next couple of minutes, and she left. Long story short, this song becomes the song of the year, wins her like 15 Grammy Awards. She becomes artist of the year. I mean, so artistic integrity being what it is, and it's an important factor. But, Sean Colvin's still cashing checks off of this song because she didn't have a whole bunch more. So anyway, that's my Sean Colvin story. By the way, all of that stuff being said, she's awesome. Sean Colvin is a really cool chick. Well, at least she was 25 years ago. I don't know what she's like now, but she was really cool back then. So her being passionate and being angry, she wasn't being a diva. She wrote a pretty little acoustic song, and they turned it into, as she called it, a fucking Sheryl Crow song. That won her all kinds of things. Also born on this day in 1974, Jermaine Clement. I love Jermaine Clement. Jermaine Clement is one of my favorite. If Jermaine Clement is in a movie and he shows up, I'm like, okay, all right. So the chances of me walking out of this movie have gone way down. Flight of the Conchords. He's Jermaine from Flight of the Conchords. What else has he done? What else? Oh, are you kidding me? What We Do in the Shadows. The original What We Do in the Shadows film. He's the star of it. He's just the greatest. All right, Jermaine Clement. Happy birthday to you. Excuse me, that's a burp. What else do we have here? Jared Kushner. Happy birthday, Jared Kushner, you silver spoon piece of trash. Jared Kushner. Never wanted for anything a day in his life. He's got a smoke show wife, got a powerful family, and got more money than God. Jared Kushner, happy birthday. Hope you twist your ankle. I don't want anything really bad to happen to you today. Maybe chip a tooth. Maybe chip a tooth on your birthday, Jared Kushner, just to even it out for the rest of us who didn't have the life that you've been somehow granted. Ankle sprain. That's the one for me. Like an ankle sprain. So I wish upon you for this, your birthday, Jared Kushner, an ankle sprain. Nothing serious, a little ankle sprain. No break. You're not even going to go to the emergency room. It's just going to swell up a little bit. You'll be fine. All right, so we're having some connection issues. Are we having some connection issues, people? Have we been interrupted at all? I don't know. Anyway, so let's get into some quick deaths here. Buffalo Bill, the great American. Was he a great American? I don't know. I guess he was. If you consider, the art of selling, if you consider the long con to be, tenets of Americanism, then yeah, Buffalo Bill, the showman. Buffalo Bill, he was, well, you know who Buffalo Bill was, right? Well, the Buffalo Bills are named after him, I suppose. Are they? I don't know, whatever. Probably, right? That makes sense. Anyway, Buffalo Bill died on this day in 1917, born in 1846. Died on this day in 2015. Someone that I mentioned just because it's like a piece of my childhood. It's this guy was everywhere. If you come from the 80s, as I do, this dude was everywhere in the 80s. He's popping up. He's funny. He's making you laugh. And then he never does anything that you never knew his name. I never knew the name Taylor Negron. Taylor Negron died on this day in 2015. I guess if I had to say, where might you know him from most? Obviously, he was the pizza delivery guy in Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Remember, he showed up and Spicoli ordered a pizza. He's like, got a pizza for Spicoli? That was Taylor Negron. Taylor Negron appeared in everything. Yeah, boom, boom. Always very funny. Anyway, Taylor Negron died on this day in 2015. Also dead on this day in 2016, David Bowie. Right? How crazy, how David Bowie died on Rod Stewart's birthday. How weird is that? They're friends. They were close friends. Happy birthday, Rod. I'm dead. Jeez. I mean, we could do a whole show on David Bowie, right? I mean, at least I could do an entire show on David Bowie. We could do a David Bowie draft, but do you know how long it would take me to do a real David Bowie draft? It would take hours. I would have to listen to so much stuff and reevaluate how I feel. Life on Mars. There you go. If I need one David Bowie song to be the David Bowie song of David Bowie songs, it's Life on Mars. And then on the other end of the spectrum, I really like Modern Love. I like that one too. I like that. But there's so much in the middle there. David Bowie dead on this day in 2016. That's crazy. David Bowie and Prince. It's just so weird. David Bowie. Born in 1947, by the way, dead on this day in 2016. Dead on this day 1 year ago today, the Jinx himself, ladies and gentlemen, the Jinx, Robert Durst. Remember the Jinx, the HBO series about the guy who murdered all of his wives? He was this super privileged New York real estate son of a real estate scion. Is scion a word? I don't know. That seems like it fit there. He murdered a bunch of his wives and kept getting away with it because he had good lawyers and, he was rich and he was Robert Durst. And then he got so cocky towards the end of his life that he allowed a documentary film crew to do a whole story about how he's gotten away with murder. And then at the very end of it, I won't ruin it for you. If you haven't seen The Jinx on HBO Max, do yourself a favor and see The Jinx. It's probably, in my opinion, it's better than Making of a Murderer, which was on Netflix that everybody was like, that's the true crime one. No, Jinx. Jinx is the best true crime miniseries. It's only 6 episodes or something. Jinx, Robert Durst, died on this day in 2022. Finally, somebody came and claimed his decrepit bag of bones. All right. So that's it. So we've done the history of the day. We've done the birthdays. We have done the passings. And now let's get into all of the things that are making today what today will be. Hold on, let me take a sip. Oh, also transition time. Boom. There you go. Tips. Yeah, for the next month at least, this show's going to have to run on tips. So if you guys can contribute anything to the daily shows, drop a little something in the tip jars with Venmo, Cash App, however you want to do it, a little something. Treat me like I'm your bartender. We are working towards a situation which will allow us to pull back the fund drive, if you will. We don't even have tote bags for you, but if we did, we'd give them to you. Instead, we've got 5 days of like noon shows. And some Pugs and Parker too at 9:00, which we'll get into that. We'll get into what happened with that last night. Oh my God. So anyway, if you want to tip the show, you can help us out. Please do. We appreciate it. Every little bit goes to making sure that we can continue doing these noon shows uninterrupted. Okay. So it's a weird day. It's a weird day for news because there are things that are happening. There are news stories that are happening that we will talk about and we will get to. But and again, we don't do divisive stuff here. So, look, they convicted Trump. We're not going to go into that. Joe Biden's nephew's laptop. We don't do that stuff. That stuff's nonsense. That's distracting. We don't talk about that stuff here. But sometimes a story has to be talked about first, even when it probably doesn't rate. And today is one of those days. So the first story that we're going to talk about was the first story that I saw this morning when I woke up. And what a bummer. What a thing to you wake up and the very first thing that you're hit with is like, oh, really? I hadn't thought about this person. I didn't even know that there was no place in my brain for this person until I read that they had died. And then all of a sudden, the place that they occupied in my brain filled right back in with all of the memories. You guys, Adam Rich is dead. Adam Rich. Now, if you come from the 80s, you know Adam Rich is Nicholas from 8 is Enough. America's little brother. Nicholas is dead. Can you remember the little bowl haircut? And I say it's interesting because he was such a TV star during my formative years. For me, as like a kid between the ages of 8 and 13, Nicholas was a major. There was the Fonz, there was Archie Bunker, and then there was Nicholas. Right? There was Nicholas from 8 is Enough. It's a show we watched all the time. A little bowl haircut, he was on the cover of every Tiger Beat. He was so famous. He was so pop. Then do you remember he did after 8 is Enough, then he had the fire engine show. I watched that one, Code Red, I think it was called. Wasn't on for quite as long. But yeah, Adam Rich is dead. He's 54 years old. Adam Rich, 8 is Enough child star, dies at 54. America's little brother. Look at that. Who's America's little brother? Adam Rich, who rose to fame as a child star on ABC's 8 is Enough, has died at age 54. Rich died Saturday in Brentwood, a section of Los Angeles. Lieutenant Amy Earle of the LA County Medical Examiner's Office says. The cause of death was under investigation, but was not considered to be suspicious. Rich's publicist, Denny Duraney, remembered Rich in a statement as simply a wonderful guy. He was kind, generous, and a warrior in the fight against mental illness. Okay, so that tells us something. That tells us that he had some. In 54, he's died. This as I read more, I discovered that he was very active in depression circles, and was his last tweet was about a month ago when Ellen's DJ Twitch took his own life. He tweeted about that. So foul play is not suspected, which means they walked in and they went, oh, poor little Nicholas killed himself. Man. TMZ was the first to report Rich's death, citing a family member. Willie Ames, Rich's 8 is Enough co-star, wrote he was gutted by the news in a recent Facebook post. Hold on. Guys, are we still connected? Let me know. Someone in the chat room. Let me. Are there some interruptions that are happening? Because I'm getting indications on my end that we're having some kind of a streaming issue. I'll wait. I'll have a cup of coffee, and maybe I'll just keep a good thought for little Nicholas Bradford from 8 is Enough. He got arrested in 1991. It's all good? All right, thank you. Hey, who's the porno dude? xgirls.xyz. Who's the porno dude? All right. Don't anybody look at that porno. Don't feed the trolls. Where's Byron? Byron can't be found because Byron's probably over on xgirls.xyz. Where's Byron? Byron's over there. Byron clicks on all that stuff. You can just tell. Okay. Kevin says, yes, it's occasionally freezing, but we're still out. Okay, Byron. All right, Byron's here. Good. Well, you can have 2 windows open, right? You can be over there looking at some nice Ukrainian scat porn and also checking out the show. I don't know what you're into. I don't judge. I think if you know one thing, I don't judge. I think everybody's weird. Willie Ames, Rich's 8 is Enough co-star, wrote that he was gutted by the news in a recent Facebook post. Adam was more than a colleague. He was very much my only little brother, a lifelong friend, Ames said. These last few years, Adam had dreams of renewing his career. He was one of those kid actors that our generation will always remember. Yeah, we will. I can't tell you how many parents have come to me and said that they've named their first child Nicholas after his 8 is Enough character. Durante told the Associated Press that Rich suffered from a type of depression that defied treatment and that he had tried to erase the stigma of talking about mental illness. He unsuccessfully tried experimental cures over the years and had remained sober. Rich, known for his wide grin and pageboy haircut, found TV fame portraying youngest son Nicholas Bradford on 8 is Enough between 77 and 81. The show revolved around Dick Van Patten, who played a newspaper columnist inspired by the real-life journalist Tom Braden, who died in 2009. And he was the father of 8 kids. Rich also starred in the series Code Red. Yeah, I remember Code Red, 81 and 82. The balance of his acting career was in single episode appearances on some of the most popular TV shows of the time. Regular appearances on The Love Boat, $6 Million Man, Silver Spoons, and Baywatch. His most recent credits, he was in David Spade's Dickie Roberts, former child star. Rich's last tweet was a retweet of his own post in September discussing mental health. Human beings weren't built to endure mental illness. The mere fact that some people consider those to be weak or have a lack of will is totally laughable. Because it's the total opposite, he wrote. It takes very, very, very strong people, a warrior, if you will, to battle such illnesses. He also tweeted the suicide prevention lifeline number in response to DJ and dancer Stephen Twitch Boss's death in December. The only thing those suffering from a mental illness know how to do is pretend to be okay, Rich tweeted. Man, that's pretty good. That is pretty good. The only thing those suffering from a mental illness know how to do is pretend to be okay. Woo, that's heavy. All right, so it's looking like Nicholas Adam Rich. Looking like Nicholas Adam Rich possibly committed suicide. All right, so that's what I woke up to. So that was the first story. That set the tone for my day. All right, also trending, we got a national championship game that got played last night. It interrupted our Pillow Talk show because within the hours leading up to this national football championship game last night between your TCU Fighting Horny Frogs versus the Georgia Bulldog. I don't know. People were, we should watch the game. We should go do it. So we had to cancel. We had to cancel the Pillow Talk show last night. It seemed like once in a lifetime. When is TCU ever going to get to play for? And we friends who are TCU people. It seemed like a thing that needed to happen. James Parker texted me at 9:20 last night. He goes, "Oh, maybe we should do a show," because by 9:20. Dude, the game was 65-7. The Georgia Bulldogs What a letdown. I mean, especially when you consider me, I am somebody who for the better part of the last 40 years has been openly advocating for some form of a college playoff system. And when we got the college playoff system, I was very happy. I was, oh, this is great. No more consensus number ones, no more bullshit, none of that. We're actually going to play some football games and determine it. And then you get a situation where the TCU should not have been in the college. I'm sorry. TCU should not have been in there. They shouldn't have been in there. They are a lesser program than Georgia. They are a lesser program than Ohio State. They are a lesser program than Michigan. If they had played, well, I mean, I guess they did play Michigan, but you know what I'm saying? I'm saying Ohio State would have crushed TCU too. God, was that a letdown. I really allowed myself to hope. And, look, I think Sonny Dykes is kind of a dick because Sonny Dykes was the coach. When I first embraced the SMU, when I first embraced the Ponies, when I first moved to Highland Park, Sonny Dykes was the head coach at SMU. And then after he has a great season with SMU, and then he jumps to TCU, just jumps cross town to the biggest rival. I just thought that was a dick move. So then Sonny Dykes is over there at TCU. And then he just starts playing the transfer portal game. And that's really how TCU was able to build this team. The transfer portal. They just got a whole bunch of players who just came there for one and done. And God, it sucked. I was really rooting for TCU and I was so angry. At some point, it just became completely embarrassing. And I had read a story about some sick kid in Houston. There's like some sick kid in Houston who's just some adorable little baby battling cancer. And TCU had dedicated the game to this kid. And I'm thinking about this kid as I'm watching the score go up, and I'm like, you're going to kill this kid. What are you doing? It was embarrassing, 65-7. But we will move on, and we will never discuss that game again. And for my TCU fans, we will say nothing for a week. Okay, for a week. We will give you a week. We will say nothing. We will let you be sad. But the next time you start talking about TCU, we're gonna bring up 65-7 in the national championship game. All right, there you go. Just so we're clear. God, was that an awful game? Holy sh! TCU did not belong. Sorry, they didn't belong. It was but they're 13-1 and they've been ranked in the top 5 all season. No, TCU doesn't belong. They didn't belong in there. Good Lord. All right. Cali weather is still happening. California is getting just destroyed. There's an oil spill now off of Santa Barbara. Some oil tanker got knocked over. They can't clean up the oil spill because of the entire city of Mendocino, California was evacuated yesterday afternoon because of mudslides. They thought the whole damn city was going to slide into the ocean. Nobody is paying attention. It's like nobody's really paying attention. We're all weathered out. And, California, it's winter. If we're going to give anybody any attention, it's going to be for blizzards and it's going to be for ice storms. We're not going to focus on California winter in January. So we're just not paying attention to it. And California is getting the crap kicked out of it. And it's not stopping, although I think it is supposed to stop here relatively soon. So there you go. Also trending today. So I'm mentioning this because I like this lady, and I will mention this lady, Katie Porter, the congresswoman. She looks like a lunch lady. She doesn't, she looks like a regular person. Katie Porter, the congresswoman from, I want to say it's Orange County, California. She has announced that she is running for the Senate. She's going to go after Feinstein's seat. I don't know what the lay of the land is out there in California. I don't know if Feinstein gone? What's she doing? I don't know. Does Gavin Newsom want that seat? I don't know. Anyway, I like Katie Porter. Katie Porter seems like a nice lady. I like her. People say there are no good politicians. I always go, Katie Porter seems like a very good person. Katie Porter seems like a legit nice person. I trust Katie Porter. There you go. So I'm saying I trust her to do what she believes is the right thing, and not like every other politician where I just assume they're going to do what's in their best interest. That's it. That's all I'm looking for. I'm just looking for somebody who can consistently win my trust that they will do the right thing, not what's in the best interest of them personally, which is what I see from far too many people. Katie Porter, I would be shocked if she turned out to be a crook. But you never know. Politicians. She might just be an archer. She might just be really good at faking it. I don't know. Jeremy Renner is trending today. Jeremy Renner on New Year's Day was crushed by a snowplow. He had this big fancy snowplow there in Lake Tahoe, and he was plowing, trying to get a car that had gone into a ditch during one of the blizzards there. And he got crushed. He got crushed. Now, he's been doing some Instagrams where people can see him, and it's all from the waist up and all that kind of stuff. And we've all been led to believe that, oh, maybe he's going to be totally okay. He's not going to be totally okay. Jeremy Renner may never walk again. Jeremy Renner had his entire lower half crushed. People are now talking about the extent of his injuries and what he's looking at. He's not Hawkeye anymore. Let's just put it there. I mean, he can't do. They don't even know that he's going to be able to stand. And we're talking about years and years of surgeries, incredibly painful surgeries, just if he ever wants to even try and stand. So the prognosis coming out for Jeremy Renner and what's going to happen with him is not good. It is not good. We've seen this a couple of times now with celebrities. We saw Jay Leno. Jay Leno was burned over 90% of his body in a car fire and exploded, and he's going to die. Jay Leno was out of the hospital like in a day. Who's the other one? We had another one recently. A celebrity who had something like really bad happen to him, and it's like, oh my God, they're going to die, and then they're fine. Jeremy Renner is not that. Jeremy Renner, it looks like it's kind of serious, and it's not something that he's going to be able to just walk away. That's a terrible turn of phrase. I just said going to be able to walk away from, and I caught myself. That was a terrible turn of phrase. But yeah, one leg they believe is completely crushed, and it's going to have to be Jeremy Renner. Keep a good thought for him. I like Jeremy Renner. Seems like a good dude. The IRS is trending today because one of the deals that Kevin McCarthy made, Kevin McCarthy had to make all kinds of deals with, mainly the Freedom Caucus, in order to get their votes to become the Speaker of the House. And I told you, Kevin McCarthy just wants to be Speaker of the House. Remember I was telling you about Katie Porter, about how I trust that she's going to do what's in the best interest of everything. Like, I think she's a good person. Kevin McCarthy's not that person. Kevin McCarthy is not somebody who I think is going to do the right thing. I think Kevin McCarthy is going to do the right thing for Kevin McCarthy 100% of the time. And, he sort of, to me, embodies the problem with politicians. But one of the deals that he made was that he promised to hold a vote in order to get the votes of the Freedom Caucus. He promised to hold a vote on abolishing the IRS. So here we go. They're going to vote on abolishing the IRS. And let's just move on to the next thing, because it's not going to pass. It's, you're going to go on record as a congressperson being in favor of the IRS? No, I'm going to go on record as a congressperson who seems to understand more than you how the IRS makes everything possible. Maybe reform. We can talk about IRS reform. I don't think anybody should have a problem with that. They want to hire 87,000 new IRS workers. Okay, so that's something that's in a plan. We can pause that. We can talk about that. Why are you expanding the IRS? But abolish the IRS? What? How are we going to have police departments and fire departments? How are we going to have water lines? How are we going to have sewage? How are we going to... What? That's as dumb as abolish the police. You can reform the police and you can reform the IRS. But abolish? These things exist for a reason. Silly. Let's see here. Here's another one. These bureaucrats. Do you like to cook? I like to cook. There is a movement, and this is some dude within the government, federal agency. This is a dude who works for a federal agency. Have you seen this? Oh, this will make me so mad. If you'd like to cook. Did I lose it? No, here it is. Here's the headline. Federal agency considers banning the government. A federal agency is considering banning gas stoves in the United States. Gas stoves. They want to ban gas stoves. Are you out of your mind? Have you ever cooked on an electric stove? Electric stoves suck. They are the absolute worst. They want to ban gas stoves? Here's why. Well, because it's been determined that over long-term exposure to indoor gas stove cooking, that children could develop early signs of asthma from prolonged exposure to... Shut up! Shut up! We have had gas stoves. And let me tell you, the gas stoves that our parents grew up around, they probably weren't any safer than the ones are today. We have had gas stoves for ever. And now we're worried about in the future children could experience signs of asthma. Shut up. Kids are going to experience asthma. Have you ever tried to cook on an electric stove? And now there's a person in the government who needs to be fired. This person, by the way, let's not put the cart before the horse. This is not anything that's been introduced. This is not anything that serious people are talking about. It just so happens that this one person who works for this one federal agency said something to a reporter, and now we've got a story. So let's see what this is. What? I can't find the story now. Well, I would think that finding the story would be pretty important. Yeah, maybe that'll work. Federal agency is considering a ban. Federal agency is considering a ban on stoves in the U.S. A federal agency is reportedly considering a ban on gas stoves on the heels of rising concerns about harmful indoor air pollutants emitted by the appliances. They've been admitting these harmful indoor air pollutants for decades. We're fine, okay? We're all fine. Well, we're not fine, but you know what I mean? Any option is on the table. Products that can't be made safe can be banned. Agency Commissioner Richard Trumka Jr. told Bloomberg, the first major outlet to break the news. The report said the agency plans to take action to address the indoor pollution caused by... You're going to piss off a lot of people. I don't know anybody who likes to cook on an electric stove. You are going to take... You ain't taking grandma's gas stove. You are not taking grandma will have like some bootleg kitchen set up in a shack behind the house, hooked up to like gas tanks. There is no way you're going to get some woman who's some badass grandma cook to cook on an electric stove when she's been cooking on. This will not stand, sir. This will not stand. Our government at work. They want to ban gas stoves. Let's abolish the IRS. Both of those things. All right, you got to do one. I would ban the gas stoves. I guess if you got to do one, you got to ban the gas stoves because, streets don't magically pave themselves. I understand that there is a need for tax dollars in a civilized society. All right. Here's another one. Here's not our government at work, but this is some of our government at work. This is coming out of Arkansas. This is so it's going to be good. This is a good one. Arkansas bill classifies drag shows because drag shows are a big problem. They're not a big problem. They are not a big. They've been turned into a big problem because people with big platforms and shows on Fox News and Newsmax and all that stuff, they start talking about it like it's a big problem, and now everybody's talking about a drag show. You've never been to a drag show. You have never been to a drag show. You've probably never even seen a drag show. You've never walked by a drag. Stop acting like drag shows are popping up everywhere. In Arkansas, they're taking the bull by the horns, and they are going to handle this drag show problem. Arkansas bill classifies drag shows as adult-oriented business, adds location restrictions. Okay, all right, so look. I find this to be unnecessary and a ridiculous waste of the Oklahoma State Legislature's time, but okay, all right. That's not crazy. So a drag show, you want to make it an adult-oriented business. Why? Why are we making it an adult-oriented business? It's not a strip show. There's no nudity in a drag show. Is it overly sexualized? Is that why? Is it the rhetoric or maybe some of that? Okay, all right, I can see that. That can be offensive. That can be something that. Yeah. All right. So the deal in Arkansas is that they just. So here's the thing. So you can't have like Mabel and Jenna's coffee and tea hut. You can't do a drag show there on a Saturday afternoon or a Sunday after. Why? I don't know why you would want to. I mean, I don't know. But okay. So what? Because kids can be let. You can't let kids. I don't know. Look. this whole exposing kids to drag show stuff, this is a brand new thing. This is like 9 months old, and we're acting like it's going to take America down. Stop it. Stop making it a thing, and it'll go away. Go away. That's it. You don't know anybody who's taken their kids to drag shows. You don't. I'm sorry. You're not taking your kid. This is not an issue. This is not a real issue. But okay, if we're going to waste time on it. And so I'm in the Oklahoma legislature and I see this bill and I'm like, oh my God, this is so stupid. How do we make it go away? All right, fine. I'll rubber stamp that. That's fine. A drag show's got to be an adult-oriented business. Okay, you can make the case to me that it, engages in some sexually provocative rhetoric and all that. Maybe community standards say that children should not be exposed to that. Okay. All right. I'll stamp it. Whatever. Can we move on to some important things? So that's Arkansas. We're going to try and classify drag shows as adult entertainment. Let's see. What else do we have here? Dana White. Dana White is trending. Dana White got in trouble because he slapped his wife. And they had video of it. And for about 48 hours, it was Dana White slapped his wife. Oh my God, they're going to totally have to get rid of him. Oh, he's going to lose his job. Oh, ESPN is going to distance themselves from him. We're a week out and no, nothing. He has done nothing. ESPN has done nothing. Endeavor has done nothing. Because what? Because he didn't bow to the mob in the first 72 hours. And the mob is really stupid. Now, the mob might be ginned up about something that is important, but that doesn't stop me from believing that on a whole, the mob is stupid and they lose interest because stupid people can't really focus on something that isn't constantly providing them with an endorphin rush. So they lose interest and they go to something else. That's what stupid people do. And that's what the mob did with Dana White. And ESPN has now gone on record going, yeah, they apologize. Everything seems okay. That's fine. We're going to move on. Trump taught us that. I keep saying that the most useful tool that Donald Trump taught me personally, being honest, the only thing he taught me, but it was an important one. When people come at you, when the mob comes for you, and there is a mob out there, everybody wants to be a part of the pitchfork wielding crew. When the mob comes after you, if you don't believe you've done anything wrong and you believe that this is being blown out of proportion and then at some point it's just become a gotcha game where they're just trying to take you down, ignore it. Just ignore the mob. Trump taught us that. Just ignore the mob. You must resign. Just say, no, I'm not going to do that. Next. But you must. But I'm not gonna. Next. I mean, apparently that's all you have to do. Dana White, I think it's official. Dana White has survived. Now, these things can change because there are no guarantees in this world, and he might be fired by Endeavor tomorrow. Who knows? But it appears that there's not going to be any domestic violence problems between ESPN and Dana White because Dana White is, they deal with ESPN and all that kind of stuff. What else do we have here? Why is this happening? Okay, Zinedine Zidane is trending. Do you know who this guy is? I know the name because it's a cool name. Zinedine, I guess for like the last 10 years or maybe even more. I don't know. I don't follow. He's been a very successful soccer coach, world soccer coach over there. But before that, he was a star for the French team. French team? Was he? Or was he coaching in France? I don't know. Is he South American? I don't know what he is. I do remember about 25 years ago, he made global news by headbutting a guy in the middle of a soccer game. And it was, at the time, at least the way American sports media presented it, it was the most egregious display of unnecessarily violent vulgarity the sporting world had ever seen. And then that went away. And he became a coach, and he's been a very successful coach. And now the United States men's national team, soccer team, they're losing their coach. They're losing their, and good, honestly, good riddance. Because whoever we've had coach, this is not a good soccer team. The United States men's soccer team sucks. We have this massive country. We have oodles of talent to choose from. We should be better at soccer than we are at this point in the game. And it's getting frustrating. But at any rate, so the United States men's team, they've approached Zinedine Zidane. That's a fun one to say. To come and be the new head men's coach of the United States men's soccer team. And Zinedine Zidane said, no. All right, so that's why he's trending. Zinedine Zidane was asked to be the new coach of the United States men's soccer team, and he's turned it down. He's like, nah. He's like, no. Hey, you can't win there. Those people, those Yanks, they don't know how to play soccer. Well, maybe with some good coaching, who knows? What else do we have? Bonnaroo. We like to do this. We're at this point of the year where all of the spring and summer festivals are being announced. The lineup for the new Bonnaroo has been announced. Let's go over this. Let's see who's playing at Bonnaroo this year. Little bit of water. All right, it looks like Kendrick Lamar to headline Bonnaroo in 2023. The lineup will also include, and this is very interesting from the get-go because it answers a question that we've all had these past few months. The Foo Fighters are playing at Bonnaroo this year. Foo Fighters without Taylor Hawkins. So the idea of would the Foo Fighters still play? Apparently they still are. Now maybe this was a contracted date that they had agreed to do before the passing of Taylor Hawkins. But, okay, so you got to fulfill these dates. Your heart maybe isn't in it. You don't want to keep playing because you can't imagine yourself going on tour without looking back at the drum set and seeing Taylor Hawkins there. And so, you're Dave Grohl. You're basically, is he a 2-time member of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? He doesn't need to keep doing this. Hell, he can just do solo stuff. He doesn't, whatever. He can form a new band with the remnants of the Foo Fighters, whatever. He doesn't have to do anything. He's Dave Grohl. But, these contracted shows like Bonnaroo, they got to get up there. They got to do them because the money's already been spent. The checks have already been cashed. They agreed to do it, and now they got to go up there. And maybe these are the situations where they get up there and they realize, you know what, this is still fun. We the Foo Fighters, this new drummer guy, he's not Taylor, but he is something different. And maybe the Foo Fighters do continue to play. Or maybe this is just that. This is just one of those contracted gigs that they had signed the deal to do. They agreed to perform on before Taylor's passing. So, but whatever it is, they get up there on stage and they're either going to absolutely love it, doing a general, normal Foo Fighters concert without Taylor Hawkins, or they're not. And they're going to be like, yeah, you know what? That didn't feel right. We should probably stop. Kendrick Lamar, Foo Fighters, Paramore, Lil Nas X, Odesna, Sheryl Crow, Zed's Dead, Liquid Stranger, and others are also on the bill for the Tennessee Festival. The Bonnaroo Music and Arts Festival is returning to Manchester, Tennessee from June 15th through 18th. The full lineup unveiled today features headliners Kendrick Lamar, Foo Fighters, Zed's Dread, Odesza, the Liquid Stranger. Others on the bill include Paramore, Lil Nas X, Sheryl Crow. Sheryl Crow doesn't seem to fit, does she? Like if Sheryl Crow goes on between Lil Nas X and the Pixies are playing. I don't know. Maybe you can make it work. Whatever. Baby Keem, 3-6 Mafia, Alex G, Korn, Tyler Childers, My Morning Jacket, Muna, Jenny Lewis, The Beths, Marcus Mumford, Franz Ferdinand, and many more. Find the complete roster on the festival poster. Others on the lineup include Big Free. Okay, we don't need to go through all of these. They just sent us. So there you have it. So that's in June 15th through the 18th. Bonnaroo 2023, headlined by Kendrick Lamar and the Foo Fighters with special guests. Tons of them. Lots of them. There you go. All right. Let's see. We don't need that. Excuse me. Kendrick Lamar. Don't need more on that. Okay. We talked about this. Oh, okay. So here, this comes out of Florida. Maybe I'll mention this because this was trending. Here is the headline caught my attention, so I thought maybe we could just talk a little bit about it here. The headline is okay. We'll get to the headline. I hate these firewalls for these stories. They're so... Sexual bondage date turned deadly when victim bit man's genitals, Florida cops say. All right. When victim, sexual bondage date turned deadly when victim bit man's genitals. As a man in this scenario, how is the man who got his genitals bit not the victim? What happened? Shall we explore? Let's do that. This comes from the Miami Herald. A man's bondage sex date turned dead. What bondage? Like, do you, like, before the date, are you like, hey, just so you know, this is going to be a bondage sex date? Like, wow. I guess you know that you're both into that. You know, you don't really float that on somebody you just met, right? Anyway, investigators discovered a motive when they tracked down the last person who'd been in contact with the victim. So who's the victim? According to a news release, all right, it took It took 4 months to arrest the 34-year-old suspect who has been charged with manslaughter and possession of methamphetamine. There was a murder? On September 5th, 2022, the Osceola County Sheriff's Office responded to an address in Kissimmee, Florida, regarding a suspicious death. The deceased victim was wearing bondage gear and appeared to have trauma in his body. The medical examiner's office has ruled the death was caused by blunt force trauma and strangulation. Detectives identified Bryant Scott DeMallo as the last person to see the victim alive. DeMallo was arrested January 3rd in Seminole County and has been since given detectives detailed information about how the bondage sex game went bad. Bondage is a type of sex play. Here you go. We're gonna get a little lesson here. Bondage is a type of sex play that involves consensually tying or restraining a partner. Nope. Never, ever, not gonna ever. Nope, nope, and nope. I pledge during our sexual liaison to not try and tie you up, and you promise to not try and tie me up. People are into that? Are you crazy? I don't trust anybody enough for that. Are you crazy? DeMillo told detectives that he and the victim met on an online chat group for sexual encounters and that the two arranged to meet in person. According to Mr. DeMello, during oral sex, the victim bit down on his penis, which caused DeMello to beat the victim to death. I could see that reaction. The victim suffered severe injuries and was knocked unconscious. DeMello then left without calling 911 or rendering aid, officials said. He's being held by the Seminole County Sheriff. Okay, all right. So that's the story. So a few months ago, a dude was found dead, beaten to death. And they were looking for the dude who did it. And then they discovered that, okay, so this beaten to death, this occurred during a sex date, a date where two dudes hooked up and they were going to do sexy stuff, whatever, weird stuff. Guy was getting sex, mouth stuff. Guy was receiving mouth stuff, and mouth man bit down. Okay, guy receiving mouth stuff beats the snot out of the guy who bit down. And you know, seems like a reaction that would be, I mean, you pull their mouth open, right, and just like dislocate their jaw. I don't know what you do. So then that dude's probably bit, and he's like, and he beats the guy to death, and then he just leaves because it's a date gone bad. And then they catch him. Okay, so not a monster. I don't think that if that's how it played out, he's not a monster. If that's how it played out, he's just a sexual. Look, lesson learned. Maybe take it a little bit slower with the kinky sex when it's strangers, right? Maybe you just maybe you have to do a little bit of getting to know each other before you get into this kind of stuff. Lesson learned. For all you little leaguers, for all you S&M little leaguers out there who are learning how to play the game at the highest of levels, know the person before you do this stuff. What else do we have here? Some of these I didn't want to do because they're just stupid. All right, we can do this. So I didn't even realize that this was a thing that was happening today. The Golden Globes. Ladies and gentlemen, the 80th Annual Golden Globe Awards returns to television tonight, 7 o'clock. So the Golden Globes were always my preferred award show. I was a weird kid. I watched all the award shows. I don't know. I even watched the Tonys. I'm like 11 years old watching the Tonys, just getting mad too. Like not watching the Tonys like rooting for things because I don't know what the hell was going on, but just getting mad at it. Just and I still hold that anger towards the Tonys. But Golden Globes were always my favorite awards. Why? Because they award both movies and television all in one place. So it's the best TV shows and the best movies. And honestly, that's really all I'm interested in. So if we can get those all knocked out in one place, one room on one night, let's do that. And the Golden Globes were also the award show where everybody drank, where there was always like, if you watch old Golden Globes episodes from the 80s and the 90s and even the 70s, people were drinking and smoking and they'd win their awards and they'd get up on stage and they'd be drunk and they'd say it was the best of the award shows. Apparently, it's been gone for a while. Did you guys know this? I had no idea that it was gone. It wasn't even on the air last year. And then I think they did the year before, they did something weird because of the pandemic where it was just all like, I don't know, whatever. But it's back. The Golden Globes are back on television tonight. I'm going to watch. Well, am I going to watch? I'm going to record. I'm going to record them and then I'll watch them later so I can skip through all the nonsense and stuff. What does it say here? Let's get into the story. The nominees of the 80th Annual Golden Globe Awards have been announced from the Beverly Hilton in Beverly Hills, California. The nominees were voted on blah, 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 blah. Both 80th Golden Globe Awards will be held on Tuesday, January 10th, 2023 at 7 p.m. That's right. So tonight starts at 7 o'clock. What channel? NBC. Golden Globes will be on NBC. Don't know who's hosting. Don't really care. Well, let's run through. Let's do some of these picks. So best picture drama. What was the best picture you saw last year? The choices are Avatar, The Way of Water, Elvis, The Fabelmans, Tar, and Top Gun Maverick. My pick, Elvis. If I'm going with those, Elvis is the best film of the year. I haven't seen Avatar. I don't want to see Avatar. I could barely make it through the first Avatar. Fabelmans, never heard of it. Tar, I don't know. Top Gun Maverick, awesome, but if you saw Elvis was done really well. That looks like a really well done film. And the story was good, and I liked it. And that kid who played Elvis was incredible. Best performance by an actress in a motion picture drama. Cate Blanchett, Tar. Olivia Colman, Empire of Light. Viola Davis, The Woman King. Ana de Armas, Blonde. Michelle Williams, The Fabelman. I'm going with Ana de Armas for Blonde because I watched 20 minutes of that. And I've never heard of any of the other movies. So there you go. Ana de Armas as Marilyn Monroe, Blonde. Prettier than Marilyn Monroe. Ana de Armas, much prettier than the real Marilyn Monroe. Best performance by an actor in a motion picture drama. Austin Butler for Elvis. Brendan Fraser for The Whale. Hugh Jackman for The Son. Bill Nighy for Living. And Jeremy Pope for The Inspection. I'm going Austin Butler. That kid who played Elvis was incredible. Let's see. Best motion picture, musical, or comedy. Babylon. Never heard of it. Banshees of Inisherin. I love that movie. I love the Banshees. You guys. All right. Also nominated Everything Everywhere All at Once. I don't know what that is. Glass Onion, a Knives Out mystery. I love that. And Triangle of Sadness. Never heard of it. Okay, so for me, best motion picture comedy comes down to the Banshees of Inisherin or Glass Onion and Knives Out Mystery. Two films that I love. The Banshees of Inisherin, really funny. It's Brendan Gleeson and Colin Farrell. And they play two dudes who live in Ireland, in rural Ireland, and their life is basically just, their stupid little job, and then they go to the pub. And there's not really much going on, and their entire world revolves around being at the pub and the conversations that they have at the pub and, the friends that they have at the pub. Except here's the problem. One day, out of the blue, Brendan Gleeson, now this is a town, Inisherin, this is a town of like 20 people. And Brendan Gleeson and Colin Farrell are best friends. They've been mates for like 40 years. And then one day, Brendan Gleeson wakes up and decides he's not going to be Colin Farrell's friend anymore. So the whole movie is about Colin Farrell trying to understand why one of the 20 people in town that, he sits and drinks with every night won't sit and drink with him, won't talk to him, doesn't like him anymore. Now they're fighting. They're trying to kill each other. It is so good. It's by the same guy who made that movie In Bruges. Yeah, I don't know if you've ever seen the film In Bruges. Again, with Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson. They were so good in Bruges. Well, they reteamed them together for the Banshees of Inisherin, and it's really funny. It's just about grown-ups. It's about grown-ups when, what if you decide that you're not friends with someone anymore, and you're 55, right? You're like 55. I know we go way back. I know I'm your kid's godfather, but I don't like you. And I really haven't liked you for 30 years. And I just sit here and I listen to the things you say. It's so funny. So I'm going to go with Banshees of Inisherin for the Golden Globe for musical or comedy. It's on HBO Max now, if you guys want to see it. It's really funny. It's a funny little film. It's just a little story. It's not, we don't have, Power Rangers and, Transformers and Marvel characters. It's just a funny little story about a weird situation where just a guy decides he's not going to be friends with you anymore. And what are you going to do about it? You can't force me to be your friend, but I love you. Do you really? Well, I don't like you anymore, but you're my best friend. And I don't like you. Anyway, it's a very funny movie. Best performance by an actress in a motion picture, musical, or comedy. You got Leslie Manville for Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris. Never heard of it. You got Margot Robbie for Babylon. Actually, I know what Babylon is. That's that big Hollywood movie. I don't think anybody's seen it yet. Anna Taylor-Joy, The Menu. The Menu is on Netflix, right? Or is it HBO Max again? I don't know. I haven't seen The Menu yet. Should I see The Menu? I don't know. Emma Thompson, Good Luck to You, Leo Grande. And Michelle Yeoh, Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. I got no pick here. I got no pick here. I like Anna Taylor-Joy because she was in Peaky Blinders. I haven't seen The Menu. I haven't seen any of these. We're going to go with Anna Taylor-Joy for The Menu. Best performance by an actor in a motion picture comedy, Diego Calva, Babylon. Daniel Craig, Glass Onion and Knives Out Mystery. Adam Driver, White Noise. White Noise. That's also on Netflix. Is that any good? Is that it? White Noise looks good. It looks pretty good. Looks like something. And then Colin Farrell for the Banshees of Inisherin and Ray Fiennes for The Menu. If they had nominated Bautista for Glass Onion, A Knives Out Mystery, I might have been like, yeah, because Bautista's great. Bautista's a good actor. Bautista's got something. But they went Daniel Craig. Colin Farrell, Banshees of Inisherin is who I'm voting for who's a supporting actor or a lead actor. Best performance by an actor in a comedy. Best motion picture animated, we don't care. Do we care about animated pictures? I don't care. Best motion picture non-English, we don't care about foreign language. Best performance by an actress in a supporting role. Angela Bassett, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. That movie was so boring. Carrie Condon, The Banshees of Inisherin. She's good, but Jamie Lee Curtis, Everything Everywhere All at Once. Dolly DeLeon for Triangle of Sadness, and Carey Mulligan for He Said. I don't know. I don't have a pick here, so I'm going to go with Carrie Condon for The Banshees of Inisherin because I love that movie. Best performance by an actor in a supporting role. Brendan Gleeson, The Banshees of Inisherin. That's it. He wins. He's so funny. Brendan Gleeson is the guy that just decides he's not going to be friends with someone anymore. And no one understands why he doesn't like him anymore. I just don't like him. What do you mean? I just woke up this morning and I just thought of all the things that he says. And last night he said this thing and I just went, I've heard him say that 100 times. I just don't like him. Life is too short. There's only 20 people in this town. I don't want to be with him anymore. And with him, it's not like they're just buddies. They're buddies. They're friends because, and this is what I always say, the friends that you have growing up who become your lifelong friends. You didn't choose them. No. You know what happened? Your parents both bought real estate near each other. That's it. That's how you guys became friends. There was no natural. He lived next door. You've known him since you were 5. Anyway, that's kind of what this movie's about. It's about how I never really chose you to be my friend. You just were here. And then all of a sudden, now I'm your best friend. I don't want to be your best friend. Best direction for a motion picture. I don't know, right? I don't know these. Martin McDonagh for Banshees of Inisherin. But there's not much direction there. You got to go up against the James Cameron for Avatar, The Way of Water. You just know he's going to win this. Maybe Baz Luhrmann for Elvis, because that movie looked incredible. Don't care about screenplay, don't care about score, don't care about original song. Best television series. Here we go. Best television series. This is the fun stuff. Best television series drama. Your choices are Better Call Saul, The Crown, House of the Dragon, Ozark, and Severance. Okay. All right. Better Call Saul. Better Call Saul. Very good. The Crown. Crown has so many of these. Ozark final season. Ooh, this is tough. This is tough because it's Better Call Saul versus Ozark in the final season. This is a flip 'em. This is a flip a coin and let it choose that way. I don't. Better Call Saul, The Crown, Ozark, House of Dragon. We'll see. We'll see where that series goes. First season, it was okay. It started out a little slow, but then I got into it towards the end. Was nowhere near as good as Game of Thrones, but that's okay. Season 1. Let's see where the story goes. They had to establish a whole bunch of exposition there in the first season, so I'm willing to concede that, and we'll look forward to the second season. Severance on Apple TV. If I had a dime for everybody who came up to me and said, "Oh, Severance is the greatest television show in the history of television. You've got to love Severance. You've got to watch it. You just can't stop watching it." See, I've never binged anything. I don't even watch television, but I binged Severance in one afternoon. All right, shut up. I watched Severance. It's quirky. It's interesting. It ain't the greatest show it's not even the greatest show. It's not even the greatest show in this list of shows. Again, best drama is either going to be Better Call Saul, The Crown, or Ozark. And you know what? I'm going to go ahead. And give it to Ozark. We'll give it to Ozark. Best performance by an actress in a television series, Emma D'Arcy for House of the Dragon. I don't even know who she is. Laura Linney, Wendy Bird from Ozark. Imelda Staunton. Who's Imelda Staunton in The Crown? She the queen? She the new queen? I don't even know. Hilary Swank for something called Alaska Daily. Zendaya for Euphoria. How is Ruth Langmore not nominated for Best Actress? Oh, maybe she's Best Supporting Actress. All right, we're going to go Laura Linney for Ozark. Laura Linney. Best performance by an actor in a television series, Jeff Bridges for The Old Man. The Old Man was pretty good. Kevin Costner for Yellowstone. Yellowstone's good. Diego Luna, Andor. I haven't seen that yet. Isn't that Star Wars or Marvel? I'm so Star Wars or Marveled out. Bob Odenkirk for Better Call Saul or Adam Scott for Severance. We're going to go with Bob Odenkirk for Better Call Saul. Bob Odenkirk. Best television series, musical, or comedy, Abbott Elementary. Very funny show. I've only watched a couple episodes of that, but that's a series that I would happily watch more of. Abbott Elementary, good show. The Bear on FX. I love The Bear. The Bear is so great. I love The Bear. I love The Bear, but I don't know how. It's about a dude. It's about a 5-star French chef who's working in a fancy restaurant in New York, and then he returns home to the south side of Chicago to run his family's Italian beef stand. The Bear. It's great. It's really good. It's gritty. It's shameless. It's basically Shameless. If you watched the television show Shameless and you wondered what did Philip Gallagher, what did he do? What did that character do after Shameless? The Bear. The Bear. It's the same. It's him. It's the character. It's the character of Flip. He's the star of it. He's just a great chef. He plays the character exactly like he played Flip. I mean, it's the exact same vibe as Shameless. There are things that happen in The Bear where you're like, what? Same way you did with anyway, very good show. Hacks on HBO Max. Love Hacks on HBO Max. Only Murders in the Building. A little overrated. Fun show, little overrated. And Wednesday on Netflix. I haven't seen Netflix. I haven't seen Wednesday. Seems to me not a show that a man in his 50s should be watching. It just seems like maybe it's geared towards young girls. So I haven't seen that. Best television series, music, or comedy, I'm going with The Bear, the FX show The Bear. It was certainly my favorite new half-hour comedy of the year. Best performance by an actress in a television series, music, or comedy. Quinta Brunson for Abbott Elementary. Kelly Kuwoko for Flight Attendant. Selena Gomez, Only Murders in the Building. Jenna Ortega, Wednesday. Gene Smart, Hacks. Gene Smart, Hacks. Gene Smart, Hacks. Gene Smart, Hacks. Gene Smart, quickly becoming a national treasure. Best performance by an actor in a television series comedy. Donald Glover for Atlanta, Bill Hader for Barry, Steve Martin, Only Murders in the Building, Martin Short, Only Murders in the Building, Jeremy Allen White, The Bear. That's a hard one. That's a hard one because Jeremy Allen White, that's Flip. That's Flip from Shameless. He's so good. He is really a good young actor. And he's so good in The Bear. But Bill Hader is so good in Barry. And Donald Glover is Jeremy Allen White. We're going with Jeremy Allen White for The Bear. We're going with that one. We're going to go with that one. Best television series, limited series, anthology series, or motion pictures made for television. Blackbird, Apple TV. Didn't see it. Dahmer, Monster, the Jeffrey Dahmer story. Ugh. The Dropout, Hulu. Pam and Tommy, Hulu. The White Lotus, HBO Max. Yes, please. White Lotus. White Lotus is 100 times better than all of those other nominees. The White Lotus. Season 1 and Season 2. After I watched Season 1 of The White Lotus, I was like, man, Season 1 was so good. How can Season 2 be better? And Season 2 was better. White Lotus, getting better. How do you make anything better? Drop Aubrey Plaza into it. That's a good start. That's a really good start. I was like, in the original, the first season of White Lotus, it was the Connie Britton character who I liked. Connie Britton, you know, Coach Taylor's wife from Friday Night Lights, and then she was in that Nashville show. Connie Britton. And I'm like, what do you mean the new season's not going to have Connie Britton? I'm like, maybe I'm not going to watch. And then they're like, can we interest you in some Aubrey Plaza? And I was like, yes, you can. All right, very good. And then they came back and they said, and as a bonus, we are going to include in Season 2 Jennifer Coolidge. That's right. Jennifer Coolidge is going to be in both Season 1 and Season 2. The only character to appear in both seasons of The White Lotus, Jennifer Coolidge. Best performance by an actress in a limited series, anthology series, or motion picture. Jessica Chastain for George and Tammy. You know I love her. Julia Garner for Inventing Anna. Lily James for Pam and Tommy, Julia Roberts for Gaslit, or Amanda Seyfried for The Dropout. The three. There's three that jump out to me right away. Jessica Chastain, because she's my all-time favorite female actress right now, don't you know? Jessica Chastain is amazing as Tammy Wynette in the Showtime series George and Tammy, the story of George Jones and Tammy Wynette. She's great. And then, of course, Julia Roberts in Gaslit, where she played Martha Mitchell, the wife of Watergate Attorney General. Unbelievable. I don't think it quite possibly could be the greatest performance I've ever seen Julia Roberts give in Gaslit, but nobody saw Gaslit. So good. But neither Jessica Chastain nor Julia Roberts can do what Julia Garner did. Julia Garner is going to win this for Inventing Anna. She was so good. I mean, look, Jessica Chastain as Tammy Wynette is great, but people on Saturday Night Live aren't imitating her as Tammy Wynette, right? The Julia Garner, Anna Delvey character is now out there. It's like the female for Borat. You know, it's like, like dudes like we're running around doing Borat lines or Austin Power lines. If you're a woman and you're a dork, you're running around talking like Anna Delvey. You know, that's just that thing. That is a cultural shifting role that she played there. Pop culture will never forget Anna Delvey from Inventing Anna. So Julia Garner should take home the trophy. Best performance by an actor or an actress in a limited series, anthology series, or motion picture made for television. Taron Egerton, The Blackbird, didn't see it. Colin Firth, The Staircase, didn't see it. Andrew Garfield, Under the Banner of Heaven, didn't see it. Evan Peters, Dahmer, Monster, the Jeffrey Dahmer story, saw it, didn't like it. Sebastian Stan for Pam and Tommy. We're going Sebastian Stan. We're going The Winter Soldier. I didn't know that the world needed an Aces Plus depiction of Tommy Lee, but Sebastian Stan turned it in. Sebastian Stan was perfect as Tommy Lee. That movie, the series, Pam and Tommy, was stupid. It was stupid. It was fun, but it was stupid. But there were a couple of performances. The performance that Lily James gave as Pam Anderson in that Baywatch one-piece swimsuit, fantastic. That was an incredible. And Sebastian Stan was really good as Tommy Lee. Nothing else. Best performance by an actress in a supporting role. Elizabeth Debicki, The Crown. She played Princess Di. She was Princess Di. Julia Garner for Ozark. Hannah Einbinder for Hacks. Janelle James for Abbott Elementary. And Cheryl Lee Ralph for Abbott Elementary. We're going to go with, look, I really think Julia Garner is like the next great actress in America. I think she's a superstar. So let's give Julia Garner a second Golden Globe, not for Anna Delvey in Inventing Anna, but let's give it to her for Ruth Langmore in Ozark. Ruth Langmore gets herself another trophy. Best performance by an actor in a supporting role in a musical comedy or drama television series. You got John Lithgow for The Old Man. You got Jonathan Pryce for The Crown. You got John Turturro, Severance. Tyler James Williams, Abbott Elementary, or Henry Winkler for Barry. You better give this to the Fonz. You better give a trophy to the Fonz. Henry Winkler deserves a trophy. All right, there you go. That's it. Golden Globes tonight at 7 o'clock. Keep your scorecards ready. There was a time 20 years ago when we'd do a full breakdown and coverage, and we talk about it the next day. Nobody cares now. Nobody cares. Back on TV for the first time in, I think, 3 seasons. 3 years. 3 years hasn't been. Well, last year it wasn't on at all. 2 years ago it was just like boxes. It was like Zoom Golden Globes where people were in boxes because of the pandemic. So whatever. Tonight, NBC. All right, that's going to do it. Let's jump over. Let's see what kind of things are trending here. Let's jump over to Twitter and see what's happening right now on Twitter. A lot of stuff happening on Twitter. Let me see. Oh, what? Get out of here. Well, I do declare. This is interesting, finding out about it right now. Let's see here. Gwen Stefani is trending number 1. Why is Gwen Stefani trending? Does she have new music? This is trending number 1. Even Gwen Stefani remember when Gwen Stefani tried to save pop music in 2016? All right, I don't care. Never mind. If I have to look that far into why you're trending to figure out why you're trending, it's just not anything important. Here's one that I can talk about. Ryan Poles is trending. Ryan Poles is trending at number 2, and Justin Fields is trending at number 3. Ooh, now, oh my God, I got to tell you, folks. Now you know I'm a Chicago Bear fan, and I guess from the outside, if you're taking a 30,000-foot view of things, it looks like we just had ourselves a pretty bad season. And I would say, yeah, really? Okay, you should have the riches that we have. Now look, worst season in the history of the Chicago Bears. Chicago Bears are the oldest team in the NFL. Worst season in history. 3 wins, 13 losses. But here's the deal. And this is why Ryan Poles is trending right now and why Justin Fields is trending. The Bears fucked around and got the number 1 overall pick in the upcoming NFL draft, which is fantastic. I mean, we were expecting 2 or 3, but, somehow because of what happened with Indianapolis and the Houston Texans and Lovie Smith going for it. God, I love Lovie Smith. Lovie Smith, former Bears coach, on his way out the door, because he was being fired in Houston, on his way out the door, won the game, which cost the Houston Texans the number 1 overall pick, giving that number 1 overall pick to Lovie's former team, the Chicago Bears. Anyway, we're very happy to have the number 1 overall pick. But you can't just, you can't turn our team around with the number 1 overall pick. You also have to have what the Bears have, which is why Ryan Poles is trending. More salary cap space heading into the offseason than any single team in the history of the NFL since they started compiling salary cap numbers. The Chicago Bears could have an estimated $150 million to play with in free agency. Number 1 pick in the draft. Unbelievable free agent. Look, we're very excited. And the reason that Justin Fields is also trending here is because we feel we have our quarterback. So it's really nice to be where you are with all of that salary cap money to spend in free agency and the number 1 overall pick in a draft that is quarterback heavy, at least for the 4 of the 5 teams picking in the top 5. And we don't want a quarterback. So Ryan Poles gave his basic press conference today at 10:30, and here's what you're going to hear a lot of. So this is what we Bear fans were listening for. The question was going to come up with the number 1 overall pick. How tempted are you to take a quarterback? Because we're trying to see what Ryan Poles, who did not draft Justin Fields, who was saddled with Justin Fields, we should all be saddled. We wanted to see what he was going to say about this, because understand, it is in the best interest of the Chicago Bears to put out there that we're not happy with Justin Fields. It is in the best interest of the Chicago Bears right now to not be completely committed on having our quarterback, because we have the number one pick and we might take Bryce Young. And you know what? The Indianapolis Colts might want Bryce Young. Seattle Seahawks might want Bryce Young. Houston Texans sure as shit want Bryce Young. So we're sitting there at number one going, what are you going to give for us? Embarrassment of riches. I have not watched the press conference. When I sign off here today, I have to do one thing very quickly, and then I'm going to dedicate an hour at some point this afternoon to watching the press conference. The IRS is still trending. We talked about that. They're trying to get rid of the IRS. California storm, all one word, is trending. Okay, so here's another thing that's trending now. Another one concerns one of my sports teams. So go ahead. If you don't like me talking about my sports teams, just go kick sand, okay? Liam Hendriks, who is easily one of my favorite White Sox players of all time. He is absolutely beloved. He is a lights-out, shut-down man coming out of the bullpen. He's been probably one of the 2 or 3 or number 1, depending on who you're talking to, best relievers in baseball over the last 4 or 5 years. He is an absolute stud. He has a killer personality. He is lovable. He is fun. He is involved in the community. Hey, he's from Australia, so he's interesting, because he's a baseball player who throws. He calls his wipeout pitch the South Slider, which is cool because he plays in Chicago on the South Side, so we like that. Liam Hendriks is beloved. Liam Hendriks has Hodgkin's. Liam Hendriks has announced that he has cancer. And he is going to be. Now, look, he's our bullpen ace. He's our shutdown guy. And this is from purely baseball. This sucks. Like, you take the human element out of it, and you're like, this sucks, because he's really good, and we're going to make a run this year, and we need him there. And that's not important now, because health comes for all of us, right? I mean, knock on wood. Let's see, where is he is going to begin. He announced yesterday that he would begin treatments for, is it non-Hodgkin's lymphoma? No word about if he's going to play. Look, we shouldn't even be thinking about that. White Sox closer Liam Hendriks announced late Sunday that he has been diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. He will begin treatment on Monday. White Sox Hendriks to start cancer treatment. He's just such a nice guy. He's just a really nice guy. Like, he's always going for the laugh and the joke, and he's a little silly. And then when he gets out there, he's like just this hothead. He is insanely intimidating when he's out there. He screams and he yells. But then when you see him, because when you're the closer, a lot of times after the game, you're the guy that they interview. Right after the game, the hometown team, the hometown broadcast crew, let's go down to the mountain and talk to Liam Hendriks. And, fireworks are going off because he just ended it. And then he's on TV. And we just saw him be this like super aggressive screamer guy. And then all of a sudden he's on TV and he's laughing and he's making fun of himself. And White Sox closer Liam Hendriks announced Sunday that he's been diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma and will begin treatment on Monday. Hearing the word cancer came as a shock to my wife and I, as it does to millions of families each year. However, I'm resolved to embrace the fight and overcome this new challenge with the same determination I've used when facing other obstacles in my life. Let's see here. As a professional athlete, I have always been mindful to try and use my position in the public eye to the most positive ends possible by shining a light on causes or issues that touch close to home for myself, my wife, and my family. It is in that spirit that I want to share some personal health news I have learned in the past few days, and do so of my own terms, that okay, so then we go to cancer. All right, there you go. That's very sad, because he is such a lovable guy. He is such a lovable, sweet, talented. I mean, let's not forget that. Liam Hendriks is a talented closer. He was a horseshit starter. He was a starter for like the first 5 years of his career, and he was horseshit. And then they moved him into the bullpen, and he ended up being a closer. And by the way, when I say closer, I don't mean you're bringing Liam in the 8th inning. No, you're bringing him in when you need one guy to go down swinging with 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th, and that's what he does. He's one of my favorites. He's one of my. I haven't told my 13-year-old this yet. He's one of my kid Mace's favorite players on the team. South Slider, my kid says. He's like, he's throwing the South Slider. So I haven't told my kid yet that he's got cancer, but that'll be fun. Hey kiddo, what are you doing? Nothing. Hey, Liam Hendriks has cancer. And I had to break it to him a couple of months ago that Jose Abreu got traded to the Houston, or went via free agency to the Houston Astros, which I thought was going to break his little heart, but he was okay with it. He was like, yeah, you know what? It's probably best. Vaughn's ready for first base. That's the answer that I wanted from my little baseball fan. I didn't want some little kid going, no, but he's my favorite. He can't go. He looked at it rationally and he went, no, you know what? Jose, God love him. Build a statue, put it on the bean, as my kid likes to say. Build him a statue and put it on the bean. That's how we feel about Jose Abreu. There's nothing else. I'm just trying to see if there's anything else that is trending. Start talking about my football team, my baseball team, and my kid. I think it's safe to say that we are out of show for today. That's going to do it, folks. Once again, if you want to tip out the show, we'd appreciate that. We do run on your donations, at least for the next month or so. So anything you can do, that would be, what the heck? Hold on. Time out. So anything you can do, you can drop it right down there, Venmo, Cash App, whatever it is, help out the show. We'd appreciate it. All right, so tonight, we'll be back at 9 o'clock tonight. 9 o'clock tonight, Pugs and Parker, myself and James Parker. We're going to do a little bit of a current events conversational show. Who knows what we're going to talk about? I don't know. Next couple hours will dictate that. Rest of you guys, we'll see you back here tomorrow at noon for more High Noon. We do this every Monday through Friday. Current events, hot topics, whatever it is that's trending, we cover it for you. And that'll be it. April says, thankfully, non-Hodgkin's can be very mild and easy to treat. Let's hope so. I can smile a little now. Things are going good. I always had to be on guard. Adam Reyna, only a dumb team would move up one spot to pick a QB, especially if it's Trubisky. Yeah. So what the fuck you want? I mean, to bend over? You know who got it even? You know we don't feel sorry. You know we don't hear anymore? You didn't take Watson. Look at what taking Watson did to the Houston Texans. We took Trubisky, a good-hearted kid. He wasn't as good. He was overevaluated by our general manager, who's no longer with the team. He lost his job because of it, and rightfully so. Oh, let's see here. I have got an old guitar. That is all I need. I don't need no. All right, you know what? None of you people are saying anything interesting enough. Just going to spend a little time talking about the chat room. No, shut up. All right, so yes. Yeah, we whiffed on Mahomes, but you know who else whiffed on Mahomes? A lot of people whiffed on Mahomes. It is interesting to think if Mahomes hadn't gone where he went and been able to sit with an Alex Smith, have an Andy Reid, like where would Carolina Panthers Patrick Mahomes be today? I mean, would he still? I don't know. Interesting. Things are going good. I always had to be on guard. That is understood. Adam says, so Adam, we can have, okay, we can go to this for a second. So Adam is saying that the Texans, who are now at number 2, who by all signs really covet Bryce Young from Alabama, at number 2, you're saying that they would not be willing to move up to number 1, to be ensured that they'll get. That's fine. And you know what? The worst run franchise in the NFL would make that stupid decision. We're totally fine with that. You Texans don't have to trade up with us at number 1. Oh, because the Indianapolis Colts sure as shit seem to want Bryce Young too, and they have a crazy man in charge of their team. It's not a problem. We'll trade down to number 4. We'll give the Indianapolis Colts their number 1. They can take Bryce Young. We'll take DeForest Buckner. We'll take their number 4. We'll take their number 2, and we'll take their number 1 next year. Deal. Fine. Love it. And then we'll still take Will Anderson or Jalen Carter at number 4. Doesn't have to be the Texans. The Texans are morons. There are other morons out there, like 90 miles down the road from Chicago in Indianapolis, where our current head coach was formerly the defensive coordinator and has strong ties to that organization. You'll see. Is Chris Ballard down there? Chris Ballard is the mentor to Ryan Poles, who is the Bears general manager. Is Chris Ballard in Indiana? Because, oh, boy, you're right. No, don't worry about it. Houston ain't getting the quarterback they want. Because I'm pretty sure we're going to give it to Indianapolis. Because we want us some DeForest Buckner. And a first next year. And a second this year. Maybe we'll throw in a 4th rounder, because that's the other thing the Bears have. We've got like 10 4th rounders. We've got a ridiculous amount of picks. Adam, the Texans aren't going to trade up. They don't have to. They don't have to. There are plenty of teams that don't want the Texans to get Bryce Young. Bye, everybody. See ya. Only 9 teams. When that's your argument, when only 9, and the number is 9,